Alright, so for this one, what I'm going to do is just make a basic bend deformer. So I'm going to select this. It's kind of cool, so I'm just going to go to deformer, nonlinear bend. Now, if you can see the bend deformer right there, it's this thing in the center. But if I go to the curvature, middle mouse button, click and drag, you can see it flexes it like this, which is fine. That might be something you want, but it's not really quite what I want. Type 0 back into here. So what I need to do, I'd rather it flop back and forth from the base. So to do that, I need to take my low bound here and suck it up so that it's 0. Now if I do it, you'll see it does it to the top, but it's doing it just from the center up. So I'm going to hit W. I'm going to move it to the base. Okay. Looks good. And again, if I do it now, you can see it's doing it, but the top is completely straight. So I got to take my high bound. I'm going to click on the word, middle mouse button, click and drag. There. Okay. Now, when I do the curvature, it will go all the way from above. So now I can go boom. All right. Just a quick, easy little, I'm going to turn this off, thing. All right. Beautiful. Pretty simple. Nothing exciting. So hit 5 or hit 6, and now you can see that. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and create the controllers for it. And that's going to be it. So we're going to go create nerves primitives, circle, and I'm going to put this at the base of this. Actually, you know what? We'll keep it in the center. Oops. And I'm going to scale this down a little bit. And I'll duplicate it, Control D. And I'll scale this one down a little bit more. Probably both is going to be scaled down a bit. There we go. Okay. And this one I'm going to call E underscore controller, and we'll call this one bend. This will be my bend controller underscore CRV, and the top one will be the E underscore controller master underscore CRV. Good. And then we'll just change some colors on it. So I'm going to go to Object Display, underneath the shape note, Object Display, Drawing Overrides, Enable Overrides, and I will change the color to yellow. Take this one, Enable Overrides, and we're going to go to red. Okay. Now, with both of them selected, you can see they have dirty values, and they have, some of them actually have history. So I'm going to first clean that up and go Modify, Freeze Transformations. Zeros that out. Then I'm going to do Edit, Delete by Type, History. Okay, so now the history's gone, so it's very clean. Okay, now what I'm going to do now is I am going to take these each to what they need to be. So I'm going to take the bend deformer and I'm going to parent it to the bend controller. So I'll select the bend deformer, just so you can see it's the center thing. I'm going to select the controller and I'm going to hit P. Then I'm going to take the bend controller and I'm going to parent it to the master controller. And then lastly, I'm going to take the geometry and also parent that to the master controller. Okay, so the bend controllers, the bend deformer is parented to the bend controller. The geometry and the bend controller are parented to this. Okay, so there's a hierarchy there. So if I move the one, it moves all of them. This will only move the one, but I'm not really too concerned about that. But it'll allow me to rotate it or whatever else. Okay, good. Now the last thing I need to do, well, not the last thing, but the other thing I need to do is make it so I can actually control this using this controller. I don't want to have to actually select the deformer each time. So I'm going to add an attribute to the bend controller curve. So we're going to select it, go edit, add attribute, and we're going to call this the bend. Let's call it bend. Beautiful. Float, scalar, no settings. Good. So now you can see we have bend. Now what I'm going to do is just as like a shortcut, if you select the curve, then I'm going to select the bend deformer. Actually, you know what? I'll have nothing selected. I'm going to go to Windows, General Editors, Connection Editor. I'm going to select my controller curve, reload left. That's going to be the thing that's going to control it. Scroll all the way down to my bend attribute I added. I'm going to select this bend deformer, then the actual bend node, and reload right. This, not just the handle. And I'm going to go from bend to curvature. So now, when I adjust this by clicking on it, middle mouse button, that will actually adjust that. Okay? Yay! Good. And I'll exit out of that. Great. Good. So now what I need to do is basically just adjust it so everything. I need to clean it up. So I'm gonna go to Windows, Hypergraph Hierarchy, and as you can see, I have everything's underneath one node. That looks pretty good. Okay. So what I'm going to do though is actually take this bend handle, and I am going to make it. I'm going to hit 0 in visibility, or you can hit Control H or Command H to turn it off, so that way you don't accidentally see it. And that looks pretty good. I'm just going to select the very highest node. I'm going to hit Control G. It's just good to have everything underneath one thing. So I'm going to call _E_GRP. So everything's underneath that one node. Fabulous. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to exit out of that. Right now I can move, rotate, scale, and everything with this. This is only meant to rotate the bend deformer. Okay? It's not meant to do anything other than. So, because it actually might make it kind of weird. Like, watch, if I take this and then I move it, it's gonna, I mean, you might want that, but I think that's probably not useful. Really, you want to stay still. And even rotation-wise, it gets kind of weird if you try to rotate it in any direction other than the Y, which is the only reason why I want that. Because, why? Because this way I can rotate it different ways based off of the one. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock everything but the Y rotation. So I'm going to click and drag all the way down from Translate X to Rotate X. Right click, lock and hide selection. Then from here to Visibility, so right click and lock and hide selected. So basically all it lets me do is rotate only on Y and to do this. Okay, so now you can see I can rotate on Y, and I can rotate on, and I can add to the bend. Okay, and we can do this. Good. Okay, so that's all pretty good. The last thing I want to do is basically just take the E here and make it so that we don't accidentally select on it. Okay, so I'm just going to go to the attribute editor, and you're going to go underneath Object Display, underneath the Shape node. Then you're going to go underneath Drawing Overrides, Enable Overrides, and we're Display Type. We're going to do Reference. Now it will not let me select that, and I can only animate these in the ways that I want. Okay, good. So the last thing I'm going to do, which I haven't done in the other ones, and I really should have been doing, is that if you look, this layer turns off the E, but doesn't turn off. Oops, doesn't turn off the rig or anything. So I'm going to do is I'm going to click on just anything in here, anything you can get a hold of, right? And I'll push the up arrow all the way till you get to E group. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click over the layer here, and I'm going to do Add Select Objects. Now when I turn it off, it will turn off the whole group in general. Okay, good. And we are good. So that one's done too. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. Control Shift S or Command Shift S, depending on what you're working on, and boom, save.